Mama of the Port Mafia. The author is anonymous.
Are you fucking kidding me? Chuuya hisses. You want me to babysit a de-aged version of your agency tiger brat now?
Well, yeah, TB please. We're so swamped right now with our missions, and Chuuya has the day off, right?
How do you even know about that? I sure as hell didn't tell you.
Dazai smoothly continues on as if uninterrupted. And Chuuya's the only one I can trust with him. Chuuya stops short at that from his next shout. Trust is the magic word, it seems. I'm just not good with kids, Dazai says, now a bit more serious, putting his hands in his tan coat pockets and looking at him with those imploring puppy eyes that always gets Chuuya to give in to his stupid little whims, even if that's acting like a damn rich girl with her toes inward to make him laugh.
And you think I am?
He doesn't want to remember his time in the sheep. He doesn't want to. He tried so hard, but he just wasn't fucking good enough. Chuuya's better than me. There's a slight whine in Dazai's voice. Chuuya's the... They are diverted by a sound, a scuff of feet, both going silent. When Chuuya makes the mistake of glancing over to find a trembling, small, white-haired boy in the doorway with a stuffed tiger clutched to his chest, his big gray eyes fearfully fixated on him, his resolve falters even more. Shit. How long has this kid been standing there, listening to him go on and on about not wanting to take him? He grits his teeth and leans close into Dazai's face, keeping his voice low as he pokes him hard in the chest.
Fine, but you owe me big time, bastard. I was really looking forward to enjoying my day off.
Dazai gasps overdramatically with a hand to his chest. Chuuya shouldn't swear in front of Atsushi's tiny ears, or he'll grow up with a sailor's mouth just like you.
Whatever.
Chuuya waves him away as he walks towards Atsushi.
Come on, kid, let's get you something to eat.
Atsushi doesn't move to follow him. His legs are shaking. He runs over to Dazai and flings himself at his knees, gripping them tight. Ah? Why would he be clinging to him like that? Dazai wouldn't even know what to do with a child hugging. Dazai gently untangles his small hands from his trousers and kneels before him, not letting them go. His eyes have gone gentle. It's all right, little one. I'll be back to check on you as soon as I get the time, okay? I promise Chuuya will take good care of you. I know he looks scary. Chuuya scoffs. But he's really just a tiny slug who won't be able to resist a cute little face like yours. He grins and bops Atsushi's small nose. Earlier, Dazai was the first person Atsushi saw after he de-aged as a result of an ability. He knew what Atsushi must have gone through around this age. 4, 5? Seeing him so tiny puts things a bit more into perspective as to how traumatizing it must have been. Dazai wasn't all that much older either, in the vague memories he has of his parents locking him up in the basement, starving him, and beating him. But at least he barely retained any of those memories, even if that's only an effect of the trauma. Atsushi, Dazai knows, remembers. He remembers all of it in vivid detail. That's why it still has the power to haunt him daily, in flashbacks, nightmares. So Dazai knows how scared Atsushi must be, which is why he makes sure to keep his face as gentle and kind as he possibly can while he kneels down before him and speaks to him. He doesn't really know what to say or do. He's never been good with kids. That's more Kunikita or Chuuya's thing, so he tries to channel them in his demeanor. I'm Dazai, Dazai says, holding his hand out for him. Osamu Dazai. I bet you're really scared right now, huh, Atsushi-kun? It's okay. I'll keep you safe, okay? Would Atsushi even believe him, though? Him being a complete stranger to him right now? Technically, he really shouldn't be. But, well, something pangs in his chest. Ah, so he feels today, when Atsushi's wide gray eyes stare at him in watery wonder, before toddling the few steps between them. One big step of Dazai's equal 5 steps for Atsushi's very tiny legs. He's so tiny. He's still swaddled in his old shirt, basically tripping the last few steps into Dazai's instinctually opening arms to catch him, his fingers touching Atsushi's back while Atsushi's arms wrap tightly around his neck. How sad that he trusts so easily anyone that shows him even the slightest kindness. After that, Atsushi clings to Dazai all throughout the day. Genji pats his head a little, smiling in a friendly way, talking to him, and Naomi and Yosono are cooing over him, Yosono's nose scrunching up in a small grin as she is booping Atsushi's nose. Naomi holds her arms out, asking if he might come to her, but Atsushi doesn't seem to want to let Dazai go at all. Rampo offers him some of his candy. Kyoka looks like she wants to kill anyone that harms him. Dazai thought he'd mind it more to have a runt just hanging around him all day, but strangely he doesn't. As a matter of fact, it's rather excellent to see Kunikita's face going red with frustration and anger, to see Dazai just lazing about, holding Atsushi to his chest, because Dazai has the perfect excuse to not be able to do any work, and Kunikita can't yell at him because it would scare sweet little Atsushi. And is it just him, or is it oddly healing to have a small, fragile person cuddling with him like this, and feeling safe around him? But of course, that can't go on for long. They find some leads of the de-aging ability user, and they need Dazai to nullify the ability so all the victims can go back to normal. Luckily, from his surveillance on Chuuya by hacking into the Port Mafia cameras, so he likes to spy on his husband a little, sue him. How is he not supposed to think about Chuuya 24/7 and wonder what he's doing right this minute? He knows Chuuya is having the day off, and who else is better for the job than the mama of the Port Mafia? An hour before his break, just before he plans to leave for Chuuya's apartment, Dazai gets bored and decides to swipe Kunikita's card off and sneak Atsushi out of work to buy him some toys. You must be so bored, Atsushi-kun. But Atsushi is a very quiet boy, abnormally well-behaved and polite. Well, not so unlike his teenager self, really, although at least he grows up to have a bit more fire. Atsushi as a child is so docile that it doesn't sit well at all. Dazai carries him on his shoulders. He's pretty tall, so he imagines it must feel like Atsushi sitting on top of the world. Unlike if Dazai snickers at the image Chuuya were doing it, that would just feel like he's level with the ground. Instead of holding his knees, Dazai has his arms raised so he could hold the child's hands high and a bit apart, like the wings of an airplane. It's probably a bit more thrilling that way for his little mentee, to not be so fully secured in and a bit more on the edge as he is jogging in a zigzag, still making sure not to do any too swift or harsh turns. Nobody sees the small smile on his face, hearing Atsushi's uncontrollable giggles above him. Atsushi is clearly not so used to shopping, especially not when the shopping is for him. Dazai has to hold his hand as they walk through the aisles, leading him to the toys he thinks Atsushi might like, but he never tells Dazai what he likes. So he has to take the toys off the shelves and show them to him, and ask, "Do you like this? What about this?" Sometimes Atsushi nods, somewhat guarded and uncertain. Sometimes he doesn't respond and just stares down at it, which Dazai takes to mean he doesn't really like it. When he sees the stuffed tiger, Dazai skips over to it and takes it off, shaking it in front of Atsushi's face. "What about this?" At that, Atsushi smiles, so slight it's almost imperceptible, but then he touches the tiger softly with his fingers. Dazai grins at him. He thinks, "I would buy the whole shop for you if I thought it would make you happy. And if I had the money. Or, well, if Kunikita did." Dazai is quite surprised by the surge of affection. He did not think he would ever feel so much for any child, ever. He has never wanted any of his own. But Atsushi's quite the sweet kid. As a child, or a teen, it's not hard to care about him. Now, Chuuya realizes something is very, very wrong when Atsushi accidentally swipes the bowl of cereal off the table. He was trying to clamber onto the chair, but was too short to do so efficiently. Atsushi is now standing there, drained of color and shaking, his tiny fists clenching the hem of his shirt as if to comfort or ground himself. He is staring right at Chuuya, his lower lip wobbling. He sobs, shallow and hitched, and quickly drops to his knees, his face lowering to the spilled milk and cereal and broken bits of ceramic. What the fuck? "Atsushi, stop! Get away from there!" Chuuya is across the room in seconds, and Atsushi is so startled he is frozen, though he is still trembling and staring at him wide-eyed. "Atsushi," Chuuya says softer. He has slowed his steps. He has seen this kind of terror before, from one of the youngest kids in the sheep. He can't go to him too fast, or make any loud sounds. "Hey, kid. What are you doing, huh?" Cleaning," Atsushi whispers. "I'll clean it, I promise." Shit. No fucking way someone made him do that. He's so small. Chuuya knew a little girl in the sheep named Aya, whose parents had been brutal, absolutely despicable people, and left such similar imprints on her behavior. She was only 6. He does now what he used to do then. He sits down on his haunches at a safe distance and lets Atsushi come to him first if he wants. He talks softly. He does whatever he can to make himself kind, careful, and light. "Can you take my hand?" Chuuya asks, holding out his hand. Atsushi looks down at it, his eyes wet and big. It takes him a long moment, staring down at it, then up at Chuuya. Chuuya keeps his face as relaxed as he can, waiting patiently. Atsushi takes his gloved hand. Chuuya's nearly covering it whole as he carefully pulls him a little to the side, leads him around the mess and towards himself. Careful of the pieces. Alright, that's good, Atsushi. He draws him to a stop in front of him, where Chuuya is sitting on his haunches. Who made you do that? Atsushi doesn't answer right away. His hands come up to fidget with the hem of his shirt, biting his lip uncertainly. Headmaster, he whispers. Headmaster, right. Chuuya just remembered that the kid came from some orphanage. Must have been one of those real shitty ones then. So Chuuya might be wanting to evacuate an orphanage of kids and burn it down. You didn't do anything wrong, Chuuya tells him, calmly, even though he's not entirely sure if he's saying the right thing. But he feels himself slipping easily into his sheep persona, taking care of kids, using simpler, kinder words. You're allowed to make mistakes. Break a few bowls of cereal, you know? Just be a kid. And hey, tell you what, that jerk Dazai always makes a mess here. And sure, I yell at him a lot like you saw me do, but that's just because he's a grown-up and he does it especially to make me mad. He adds that just because he doesn't want Atsushi to see him as some guy with an explosive temper that might do the same to him. But you, I'm not going to get angry at you for anything you do, you got it? And you don't have to do stuff like this, ever. I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want you to do anything that's going to hurt you, got it? The nod that comes in response is slow and delayed, not yet fully trusting, but getting there. Now, let's get you out of those clothes, Chuuya says, brushing off the drying milk on Atsushi's shirt. I'm gonna pick you up now. Is that alright? Atsushi nods, this time much less delayed. Chuuya grips him by the underarms and lifts him up, fitting him onto the side of his waist. Chuuya sees just how starved for affection the kid is when he is in the bath, his hands shampooing the silver hair, and Atsushi is leaning into it tentatively, so tentatively that it's as if he's afraid Chuuya would just notice and push him away. Chuuya brushes a hand through his hair a few more times for good measure, just to make sure the shampoo's really in there, of course. Setting him back on the bed after he's dressed, Chuuya puts his socks on for him, since it's almost winter and the floors are cold. It's then that Atsushi asks him in a very small, whispery voice, Are you my mama? Chuuya freezes and tries not to visibly choke. Am I your what? He barely stops himself from blurting. Dazai-san said you're my mama, but not like my real mama, just my for-now mama. He said he can be my for-now papa. That shitty bastard. Atsushi is looking at him very hopefully. An orphan desperate for parents, even if they're just for now. It's really not worth hurting his feelings. Yeah, I'm going to kill you, Dazai. Yeah, I'm your for now, mama. I'm going to fucking kill you. A call in the evening from Dazai updates Chuuya on the situation. The ability user has been nullified and locked up, but Atsushi is still a child, quietly playing on the rug with his toys next to Chuuya. Chuuya tells Dazai it didn't work, but it becomes clear that the ability acts like a drug in the blood system. Questioning the ability user reveals that it will go away in a few days. Dazai shows up after work, around dinner, with his hands full of shopping bags, more clothes, toys, and food for Atsushi. Chuuya only has to eye the sheer number of items once before he quickly is checking his pockets. Sure enough, his wallet's gone. And this fucker is treading on thin ice now when it comes to Chuuya's patience. Look what Papa's got you, little one, Dazai yells excitedly. Oh, this poor, poor kid. Chuuya can only hope he won't remember it when he gets back to normal, getting fooled into calling Osamu Dazai Papa. He made this poor child call Chuuya Mama. He hopes the werebrat eats him alive when he gets back to normal. Unlikely considering what Chuuya has seen of him now, and as a teen. Sweet, polite, and far too innocent for this life. And to be having shitty Dazai as his mentor. With my fucking money, Chuuya mutters under his breath, watching as Dazai begins to take the items out of the bag and show Atsushi. Atsushi smiles at the tiger-themed items, brushing over them with his fingers. Dazai is looking at his face closely for his reactions to each thing, his lips quirked up in an imperceptible, genuine smile, and all of Chuuya's irritation drains right out of him. As much as he drives Chuuya batshit insane, he is so endearing. And Chuuya can't deny he hasn't fantasized about this, no matter how unlikely it is considering their line of work and their questionable mental states, him and Dazai adopting kids. Because yeah, Chuuya likes kids. He wants them. He just doesn't think he'll ever make a good father, and he doesn't think Dazai wants to be a father after all. But parenting looks so good on him. Shit. Dazai is talking to the silvered-haired child very softly, knelt to his level, still with that small smile. Chuuya can't hear what he's saying, but he can't keep his eyes off him right now. That rare tenderness in his demeanor. All through dinner, he is kind with Atsushi, helping him wherever he can, spooning out seconds onto Atsushi's plate when he notices him looking at all the food with quiet longing, even though he's saying, "Tiny people should eat as much as they can, lest you turn out like your chibi mama." Now, Chuuya is simultaneously very in love with him and very much wanting to murder him with a fork. Not like unusual, he guesses, but tenfold more intense at the moment. When they run out of crab and Atsushi is clearly wanting more, Dazai gives him his own piece. When Atsushi gets anxious about having dropped food on himself accidentally, apologizing in a shaky whisper, Dazai helps him clean it up, calmly with a napkin. "See? It's an easy fix, eh, Atsushi-kun? Nothing to worry about." Chuuya watches him put his small minty to bed. Atsushi grips his fingers when he gets up to leave, clutching his tiger toy and looking up at Dazai with a playful gaze. So he stays, all the way up until Atsushi falls asleep with his hand resting lightly on top of the silver hair. Chuuya waiting in the doorway for him with his arms folded, lounging against the frame. As soon as the door closes there under the doorframe, Chuuya grabs Dazai by his bolo tie and the curl of an arm around the nape of his neck to pull him down to his level, and kisses him hard and long, breaking it off only when he's breathless. "I'm gonna kill you later, but first, bedroom." And then Chuuya drags him over by his tie in the direction of their bedroom, Dazai stumbling after him, grinning stupidly in spite of his confusion. "For now, Mama? Really, asshole?" Chuuya asks after they're both sated and on their backs. Seriously, this idiot can't be in a gay relationship and not know it's possible to have two dads? Why did one of them have to be the mama? Dazai laughs with his head thrown back, his hands on his stomach, and ugh. How can a sound be so beautiful and make Chuuya want to punch his throat out? It fits perfectly. Chuuya's always fussing over the young ones in the Port Mafia. That's why everyone calls him Chuuya Mama of the Port Mafia behind his back. "What?" His voice turned high and wild. "Fuck off, they do not." Dazai turns his head to Chuuya. "It's true. Ask anyone." He looks far too smug and confident, though Dazai could be lying and looking like that very easily. Except that Chuuya is very well versed in reading Dazai, or just all things Dazai, period. He is not lying. "Since when?" Chuuya sputters. "You know how you were with Elise, Q, Kyoka, and the Octagawas." Chuuya stares up at the ceiling, as if into a hollow abyss. "Mama of the Port Mafia? What the fuck?" What has he been doing that made people give him that title? And then slowly, it comes to him. Chuuya taking Elise out for ice cream to calm her tantrums and kissing her scraped knees when she falls on the carpet, hugging a young Kyoka when she got too frantic and started crying until she stopped, holding Q's unhurt hand when he went to visit them and making sure they are all been taken care of, giving Jean whatever advice she needs about things she has only ever trusted Chuuya with, daily asking Octagawa if he has taken his meds for his lung disease, taking note of his weight and treating him to meals when he thinks he looks thinner or seems downtrodden about something, scolding him when he eats Kahi's horrible food experiments, washing him in the hot springs because he was too on edge about any attacks to get comfortable without his clothes. Oh fuck. Oh no. For what it's worth, I always thought it was very cute seeing Chibi taking care of even chibier people, Dazai tells him proudly, as if he thinks he said a very good and helpful thing and it would make Chuuya feel better to hear it. Chuuya closes his eyes and tells himself inside his head, "I love my husband. I don't really want to kill him. Sure, he drives me batshit crazy, but I don't really. It's okay, sweet mom, on second thought." Before he can turn and strangle Dazai to death, Dazai was leaning over him with his elbows on either side of him, framing Chuuya's face wholly between his long, slender fingers and catching his mouth in a slow, sweet kiss until he forgot about wanting to strangle him to death. He melts fully under the kisses, Dazai's fingers pressing behind a little tender space behind his ears. "Do you ever," Chuuya says in breaths between kisses, "think about kids?" "No, not really," Dazai says. "Not until now." They break off the kisses and Dazai rests his forehead against his. I didn't think I'd make a good father, Dazai confesses. I don't think we can even try with the life we live, but we can imagine it, right? A little you and me. You're good with Atsushi, Chuuya tells him, his fingers taking a lock of hair hanging at his temple, tucking it behind his ear. You're good with kids now. Like, when you have to calm them down. Get them to do something in a bad situation. I've seen you. Well, Atsushi is Atsushi. Right. His little mentee, as he calls him sometimes. Chuuya guesses it's not hard to care about a smaller version of someone he actually cares about. And that's different, isn't it? From raising a whole kid? It's true. It's a far-fetched dream, but it doesn't mean they can't dream, right? Chuuya smiles a little. Boy or girl? A little red-headed girl, Dazai says with a smile back. He sounds like he's been dreaming about this a lot. I bet you'd teach her to be just like you, Chuuya says, laughing. I'm just glad Atsushi's immune to your bad influence. Or she'd be like you, keeping her ridiculous dad in line. As for Atsushi, I'll get him, slowly but surely. I bet she'd be smart. With Dazai as a parent, she would be. He'd teach her a lot. About people and the world, and how to deal with things. And about space and maths, and the human body, and all the shit Dazai gets obsessed with. Dazai is brushing his nose against Chuuya's cheek, pressing a kiss to it. I bet she'd be strong, too. You'd teach her martial arts. Damn right I would, so she can kick anyone's ass. It's a harder world for a girl, right? Atsushi is sitting beside Chuuya with his blankets fisted in his tiny hands, listening to him as Chuuya is reading him a children's story. Atsushi thinks Chuuya doesn't notice how he's trying to slowly inch towards him, how he is so lightly tries to press his hair into Chuuya's side without putting any weight on him at all, as if he's hoping Chuuya won't notice. Chuuya, in kind, shifts as if to get comfortable, and very subtly presses his side back against Atsushi. He is so starved for affection. Jesus, has this kid ever been loved? Fuck it, Chuuya thinks. It's not like this kid's gonna remember it anyway. It is this thought that makes Chuuya abandon all pretense, and gently he wraps an arm around Atsushi's small back and draws him close against his ribs. This clear display of affection, of permission, makes Atsushi also abandon all pretense. He wriggles against Chuuya's side quickly, hungrily, his arms almost desperate around Chuuya's middle. Chuuya tightens his grip. It hurts, looking at this kid. It hurts to see him so deprived. Chuuya brushes his fingers through Atsushi's silver hair. You're a good kid, Atsushi, he says softly, in almost a whisper. Anyone ever tell you that? That you're a good kid? Atsushi looks up at him with wide, big eyes, and his eyes begin to water, his chin crumpling. Oh, hell. Chuuya puts the book down as Atsushi begins to cry. Shit, he's 5. A 5-year-old who shouldn't be in so much pain that he cries just because someone told him he was good. Chuuya pulls him onto his lap by a grip under his arms and hugs him tightly and kisses the top of his head before resting his cheek into it, rocking them back and forth. He remembers this, comforting the little children of the sheep when they were sad like this. You'll be loved, Chuuya murmurs to him, okay? You'll be so loved one day, I promise. I know you're going through a lot right now, but it won't last forever. You'll find so many people who care about you, sweetheart. You'll see. He thinks of Dazai, letting himself get captured by the Mafia just to find out who put a bounty on his head, just within a month of knowing him. The next day, Dazai comes to pick Atsushi up and take him back to the dorms for the weekend, during which he is expected to return to his original age. When Atsushi stands at the door, his tiny hand in Dazai's, he turns around suddenly, runs back across the room, and Chuuya, intuitively, kneels down on the ground to catch him as Atsushi throws himself at him, arms wrapped tightly around his neck. Yeah, I'll miss you too, kid, Chuuya says, smiling, his chin to his shoulder. He doesn't know adult Atsushi, but he can't help but feel affectionate towards him too now, even if Atsushi won't remember any of this, or know him so well when he gets back to his grown self. Over Atsushi's shoulder, Dazai is half turned towards him, and he is smiling at Chuuya knowingly. Yes, Chuuya has grown fond of his little mentee too. When Atsushi breaks away from him after a very long time, Chuuya strokes his silver hair back. Keep that idiot for now papa of yours in line, yeah? Atsushi smiles. Chuuya grins back. Atsushi runs back to Dazai and takes his hand. Say goodbye to Mama. Goodbye, Mama, Atsushi whispers. Chuuya maintains the smile as he keeps waving at Atsushi. Only when Atsushi turns around does Chuuya's smile drop fast as he raises his middle finger to Dazai. Dazai grins, then opens his mouth at him in an even more exaggerated grin, brows raising high and merry to piss him off. Oh, it pisses him off all right. When Chuuya steps inside the Port Mafia, he makes sure to keep himself totally casual and cool. He'll show them all. He's not the mama of the Port Mafia. He greets everyone with a nod, like that of an acquaintance, deliberately not asking questions or checking in with anyone beyond a simple, "You doing okay, guys?" He runs into Akutagawa, who nods at him in greeting, and stops instinctively at the sight of him, habitually expecting the conversation that should follow. Usually, here, Chuuya starts to fuss over him, asking if he's taking his meds for his lung disease, looking over him to make sure he's not getting too skinny again, and he's been eating well. Today he just walks past Akutagawa. He feels Akutagawa's eyes on him, burning a hole in his back. "Chuuya-san." Chuuya pauses and turns to look at him. Akutagawa coughs, awkwardly, his hand to his mouth, which often prompts Chuuya to ask if he should make him some green tea. "Are you all right?" Akutagawa asks. He clears his throat. "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" Akutagawa stares at him, then shakes his head, turning away. "Nothing," he mumbles. He slips his hands into his coat pockets and walks away, fast, almost as if he's embarrassed about something. Standing in the office as he waits for Mori, Elise is running around flying a doll with its head torn off, talking a mile a minute as she tells Chuuya all about her week, until she trips and falls on the carpet. Her eyes water and she looks up at Chuuya expectantly. Chuuya stands rod straight, with his hands clasped behind him, eyes darting to look at her and back as he resists the urge to check on her. Elise starts wailing and screaming. "I'm hurt. Why aren't you running to me and kissing it better? Chuuya, kiss it better. Kiss it better now." Chuuya clears his throat. "I'm not the mama of the Port Mafia. I'm not the mama of the Port Mafia. I'm a big, bad, gravity-manipulating mafia executive, and I do not kiss children's scraped knees." "What is happening?" Mori asks as he enters the office. He sees Elise, and immediately his face takes on an expression of worry. "Oh, Elise-chan, you're hurt. Let me—" "No!" she screams. "I want Chuuya to kiss it better." Chuuya stands stiffly, staring straight ahead. Mori sighs. "Chuuya-kun, if you could please—" Chuuya stays where he is, cheeks hot, caught between trying to transform his reputation and following an order as well as his weird parental instincts left over from the sheep. "Chuuya-kun?" Elise is staring at him with wide eyes. "Why isn't he kissing it better? He always kisses it better." Her voice is shaky, her mouth turning downward in a watery pout as she glances at Mori for answers. "You can't force him to, I'm afraid, Elise-chan. Come here, I'll give you a hug." She runs to Mori and hugs him, all while glaring wetly at Chuuya. Chuuya tries desperately to suppress his guilt. "What did you want to speak of, boss?" That evening, he has a very unexpected visitor in his executive office. "Nakahara-san," Atsushi says, bowing to him deeply. "Chuuya's fine," Chuuya tells him stiffly, trying very hard not to remember the tiny child he held in his arms and bathed and fed and took care of not a day ago. He is not the mama of the Port Mafia, or anyone's mama. Fuck Dazai and anyone who ever said that. Chuuya figures Atsushi might be wanting to ask what happened when he was de-aged, but why didn't Dazai fill him in with the gist of it? Atsushi nods and swallows, nervous. There's something else. "Chuuya-san," he says softly, "I remember." Chuuya's brain screeches to a halt. "Oh," is all he manages, red with mortification. "Ah, well—" "Oh, you look very embarrassed." Atsushi holds his hands out, frantic. Damn it, he didn't have to point that out. "No, please, I didn't mean—" "Chuuya, his voice croaks. "I came to say thank you." Atsushi looks like he's about to cry, and Chuuya remembers him. No longer able not to. The little boy that stared at him with wide, terrified eyes, surrounded by broken ceramic. The little boy that began to cry as he lowered his face to the floor, so imprinted with a broken childhood where someone taught him that he was not a person, that he was worthless. The little boy that had apologized too much for being a kid, for making mistakes that meant nothing. The little boy that creeped close to him in perfect silence, trying not to be noticed, and so hungry to be held. The little boy that cried because someone told him something as simple as that he was good. I came to say thank you, Atsushi says, quieter, his eyes red-rimmed. That's all. Thank you for being kind to me. I know I was really annoying and a horrible kid. Thank you for being kind to me anyway. You weren't. Chuuya cuts him off, his fast and shaky speaking staring at him right in the eyes. I don't know who told you that, but you really weren't. Atsushi blinks, staring at him wide-eyed, as if that was not the response he had been expecting. Chuuya looks away, eyes traversing uneasily. When I said you were a good kid, Chuuya said after a while, I meant it, okay? I meant you were a little too good, actually. He looks at Atsushi. You should have gotten to just be a kid. Atsushi looks down at his feet. His eyes are as if entranced in some tender memory. I appreciate that. I remember feeling comforted. I remember feeling hopeful about my life for the very first time. And like someone did care about me, you and Dazai-san. Good. That's good. Chuuya nods. He doesn't know what else to say. Yeah. Atsushi smiles awkwardly. I should go. I've already taken too much of your time. It's not a problem, Chuuya says, waving it away dismissively. Atsushi makes his way to the door and stops. And then he turns around hesitantly, fidgeting. Would it be really weird and out of line if I hugged you? Chuuya stares at him, sort of in shock at the unexpected question. Yeah, sorry, Atsushi says quickly, shaking his head, laughing at himself and scratching the back of his head. Yeah, that's definitely weird and out of line. He begins to turn around. You can. Chuuya manages, because, yeah, it is kind of weird when Atsushi is older, but Chuuya also kind of already feels like he's adopted the kid too, regardless, so, yeah, you can. Atsushi smiles. Chuuya remembers that smile on a much younger and rounder face. Atsushi comes up to him and very, very gently, just like a child hoping not to be noticed, wraps his arms around Chuuya's upper back, leaning down to rest his chin onto his shoulder. No one has ever taken care of me before, Atsushi tells him softly. Definitely not like that. I'll never forget it. If Chuuya sits there in his office chair with a strange, heavy feeling in his throat, long after Atsushi is gone, no one needs to know. In the next 5 minutes, Chuuya is storming down the corridors to Okutagawa's working space. He blasts open the doors with a bang, wild-eyed. Okutagawa, have you taken your meds? He is tired of pretending. Damn right he's the mama of the Port Mafia. Fucking what about it? Okutagawa spins around, wide-eyed. If Chuuya didn't know any better, he might have thought he looked something like relieved, and quickly, within a split second, schools his face into his usual reserve and calm. His fingers come up to his mouth as he coughs, eyes closed. Very solemnly, almost too much so, he answers, Yes, Chuuya-san, I have taken my meds for the day. Damn it, why are there so many kids starved of affection and care? And have you been eating properly? I haven't seen you in days, so you better be taking care of yourself, Renosuke Okutagawa. Yes, I've been eating 3 meals a day, Chuuya-san. Chuuya's already looking him up and down. Yeah? Well, you look too skinny. Dinner at my place tonight. You and Dean, both. Got it? Okutagawa nods. We'll be there. Green tea? From the office of the ADA, someone is watching this all play out on a computer screen via live security camera footage. You bandage-wasting machine! Why aren't you working? And what is that stupid, ridiculous face you're making? Kunikita yells at Dazai, fists clenched. Dazai shooing him away, one hand under his jaw. Now, Kunikita-kun, I'm watching my husband and 2 kids. What?